Hey y'all! I just beat Avatar Frontiers of Pandora from the Ashes DLC, and here's what I thought about it. In this video, I'll be talking about the new lead, story, gameplay, system changes, and a few negatives. Quick note about spoilers. I won't be spoiling any major story spoilers, however, I will be talking about the setup of this DLC and how it relates to the story of the main game. I'm confident that you can watch this video before playing the DLC. To be honest, I really did not like the main game of Frontiers of Pandora. It looked extremely pretty and had some cool gameplay, but besides that, it wasn't great. Not only was the story kind of poorly told, but it just had terribly implemented RPG systems, which just almost ruined the game for me. I could tell that this was a love letter to the franchise in the sense that it perfectly recreated Pandora and honestly even outdid the movies for me, but it just wasn't a very good game. I played the two DLCs as well, both of which I liked about the same as the main story. In my review for the final DLC, I said, quote, "It's very interesting playing the last DLC of a game that will likely never get a sequel," end quote. This game is just mediocre and probably didn't sell well, so why would it get a sequel? Imagine my surprise when it did, kind of. From the Ashes is a sequel to the main game in pretty much every way. Literally almost every single aspect of this DLC learns from the base game and improves upon it. The story is actually pretty good, the gameplay is much better, the stupid RPG stuff is removed, and it even added a few things that the main story was missing. All of this comes together to make a DLC that was not only much better than the main story, but also worth playing even not being a fan of the original game. The story in the main game was essentially the same thing as all the Avatar films. Instead of a human, this time it was four Na'vis captured and raised by humans, but the idea was the same. Someone learns what it means to be Na'vi and accept this new way of life, all while fighting against the RDA. From the Ashes flips this on its head by letting you play as a born and raised Na'vi in Solek. Solek is easily just as good, if not better, of a protagonist than the one in the main story, as he has a strong heroic personality while also being a lot more interesting than just another human-type character we've seen again and again in this franchise. What I think is so interesting about Solek is that he doesn't really know much about humans. He doesn't know what computers or buttons are. He looks at everything kind of in a Na'vi way, yet a Na'vi that will do whatever it takes to survive and save his friends. To me, this is so much more interesting than anything we've gotten before in this franchise, as we can now finally see things from a Na'vi point of view rather than an outsider looking in. This Na'vi point of view, I think actually really helps elevate one key part from Avatar 3. Going back to my Avatar 3 review, which is also my YouTube channel and you should check out by the way, the Fire Tribe wasn't really developed much in that film, so I didn't find them to be really great villains. In this DLC, however, they are the main antagonists and it really helps the character of the tribe. These Fire Tribe members are portrayed as being a lot more scary than in the film, and you believe it. After fighting exclusively RDA for a main story and two DLCs, the impact of fighting Na'vi mini-bosses multiple times throughout the course of this DLC is really felt. The Fire Tribe are much better villains in this DLC too, as they hunt and kill many Na'vi and burn entire villages and even an entire section of the main story map. They are really great villains for this DLC. Despite being advertised as a movie tie-in and being released the same day as Avatar 3, this is actually more of a sequel to the main story. At the start of this DLC, the main character from the main story gets captured, and the rest of the Sarentu gets split up and Solek has to go find them. I think it was a really smart choice to switch to Solek for many reasons. One, by capturing the main character, which the player created and customized, it gives the player reason to care about this story and get invested, while also adding stakes for the characters in-game, as the main character was kind of the person who got everything done around there. Secondly, Sulik and his dog tag work warrior persona really fits this story much better with the Fire Tribe, as he's hunted humans before, with other Na'vi and alone. He knows how painful it is to see other Na'vi teaming up with the people who killed his original tribe and are now trying to kill his new one. Besides the main character getting captured, who is now given the name Tamte, the rest of the major Sarentu characters show up, even Nor. What's so great about this DLC is that since Tamte was captured, each of the main characters now have incentive to grow and continue their arcs. Talon learns to become more of a leader, and Nor showing back up forces him and everyone to work through his issues. That's what I think one of the best parts of this DLC is. It finishes each of the characters' arcs from the main story. No longer will fans of the game have to wonder and hope this game gets a sequel, because this DLC concludes all of its plot threads while still leaving a few things open for a potential sequel. The story in this DLC is actually really good. Not only is it surprisingly well written, but it also is really well told. Everything in this DLC feels so grand and cinematic. Sulik's search for the Sarentu is engaging almost the entire time, and with this being a shorter length DLC, the pacing is a lot better. The game doesn't have to force you to clear bases or do other stupid stuff like that for time. It can make meaningful story progression with each mission. Despite that, this game still takes the time to have quieter story moments too, just with less interruption to the game's overall flow than in the main story. Because of this, the story comes together as much better than the main game, and honestly probably one if not the best Avatar story of all. The third reason why switching the main character works is because it gives the DLC an excuse to completely change and remove gameplay elements without it feeling weird. This game changes almost everything about the gameplay and systems that it feels like a whole new game, for the better. For starters, it completely changes the entire rhythm of the gameplay. The main story was a lot more stealth focused, where this one is a lot more action focused. You can still stealthier with the new stealth amp takedown, but features like the new warrior mode incentivize combat first. The combat in this DLC is great, as it always has been, but since the DLC is designed around combat, it makes it all a lot more fun. Also, thankfully, the stupid Sid hacking minigame was completely removed, and replaced with an electric knife, which reflects the change from stealth to combat. This change to being combat focused is really shown in this DLC's approach to mission design. Like I said, each mission is designed around the fact that you're probably gonna get into a fight, so less like a stealth arena and more like a combat arena. This DLC adds a lot more enemy variety too, with multiple different amp suit guys and even some new robot dogs, which really helps the combat not get boring like it did in the main story. The pacing and tension of each mission is increased as well, meaning that this game can add many cool set-piece moments without it feeling out of place. Honestly, each mission towards the end has some kind of cool set piece, really differentiating it from the main story, which kind of felt like the same thing over and over. The best new combat addition, however, is the boss fights, which are surprisingly lacking from the main game. There are many mini-bosses in this DLC, with each member of the Fire Clan being one. The best are the full bosses though. They are pretty spare, with only like being 2 or 3, but they are so memorable, having multiple phases and attacks. They perfectly reflect the change of being more combat focused, while also making the story a lot more climactic, impactful, and cinematic. Who doesn't love a good boss fight? This is a running theme within this DLC, as it not only changes but adds things that were not found in the original game. What's so great about this is that it takes away the bad elements of the original game while keeping the best stuff about the game. Like, this game is just as pretty as the main story, with refreshed area of the main story map looking just as fantastic as ever. The DLC adds a few quality of life features, my favorite being the ability for your Ikran to just pick you up rather than having to land anywhere and get on it. This game also finally adds NPCs in combat, which gets rid of some awkward story moments found in the main game and DLCs. They don't really help much, but it's just a lot more immersive having them be there. The best change this DLC makes, however, is that it entirely changes the game's RPG systems to fit within a smaller sized DLC. The RPG systems in the main story were terrible. It's a loot-based game, yet it almost never gave you loot, instead blueprints for loot that you could go make yourself. The thing is, you almost never had what you needed to craft new items, forcing you to go out into the world and look for specific plants or hunt specific animals. It really was a grind, and you couldn't even guarantee you got a good roll when you did craft something new. Your player level was directly tied to the sum of the quality of all your loot, but since the game rarely gives you any actual loot, I was always behind. When it did give me loot, it could sometimes be something unfun to use, yet I had to equip it anyways so I could get my player level up. This meant that the game was very hard, even on easy mode. Enemies were bullet sponges and I was having a terrible time. It makes sense narratively for the Sarentu to want to go out and explore Pandora for crafting resources, but from a player's perspective, I hated it. This DLC, however, removes all of that. This DLC actually just gives you the loot, and even the upgrade resources straight up. It completely removes player level as well, which means you can use anything you want. On top of even all that, instead of having hundreds of different versions of each type of weapon, each weapon has their own dedicated slot with only 4 to 5 variations you can equip and upgrade, which are all given to you throughout the campaign. For me, this completely fixed this game's combat. Now I could use whatever I wanted and the enemies would actually die. I could also actually upgrade my weapons, helping me keep up with the increasingly difficult enemies as the game went on. This is the best change made in the entire DLC, finally removing that stupid player level and crafting system, and this game is all the better for it. If only they could transfer that to the main game. Now, while I do think that this is a fantastic DLC, I don't think it's perfect. For starters, the game does force you to do a few side quest chains here and there, and I don't think these are as engaging as the main story. While they are good in the mission design department, featuring some great moments, a lot of them are just a bit generic story-wise. The new shock knife is a million times better than the Sid from the main game, but you do sometimes have to use it multiple times in a row to open things. The thing is, it takes forever to recharge, so you kind of just gotta wait around for it to recharge. The mission design is also a lot better than in the main story, but I think some of the missions, especially the side missions, are kind of generic. I don't think they're bad or anything, but just not as engaging as some of the other missions. A lot of the missions here are kind of just inspect things, go into an RDA base, hit a button, kill people, leave. I get for a lower budget DLC, not everything can be as high quality as some of the best missions here, but like, they're just lazy and cheap feeling here and kind of make the game lose a bit of momentum for me. While the writing is good, I do think some of the voice acting can be a bit bad, however. Solek's voice actor does a fantastic job, but the rest of the voice actors can be a bit all over the place, even surprisingly, Tom Tay's voice actress. It can kind of pull you out of a few moments here and there. Overall, this DLC is a huge improvement from the base game. The story and gameplay here are much better, clearly having learned from what worked in the main game and applying that here. Everything comes together to make this feel like a true, yet smaller, sequel to the main story, and honestly, it works. I was sure that this game would never get a sequel, but somehow it kind of did, even if it is a lower budget DLC. Because of all the fantastic changes it makes, combined with a surprisingly good story, I'd say that even if you weren't a fan of the original game, like me, you probably should play this DLC. This game blew my expectations out of the water, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually hope this game gets a sequel now, even if I still don't think it will. I recommend Avatar From the Ashes. 8 out of 10. Well, y'all, that's my review of From the Ashes. I would really appreciate it if you could like, comment, or even subscribe. That's all I got for my review of From the Ashes, but I would also really appreciate it if you could check out my review of Avatar 3, which can be found on my channel. Otherwise, I want to take the last few moments to talk about me and my channel. Okay, so today I want to talk about a few things. So the first thing I want to talk about is, like, at the end of my last video, I was like, I'm so hot and I'm sweating so much I need to get like one of those furry masks that people wear under it. And I got one and I'm wearing it right now. So this is my first video with one of those. And it's different, to say the least. Like, it's got like an opening where the eyes are. So like that opening during one of my takes, it like went down to my mouth. So I hope that doesn't impact the voiceover. But yeah, I'm like, since it's new, I'm like kind of worried it'll impact like my voiceover audio quality. And I'm listening to my voiceover a little like more closely. And I don't know if it's just because this mask, but like I fucking suck at reading this script. I keep making mistakes and it's really annoying. Like, if I make a major one, I'll restart, but I don't know. Whatever, like, it's fine. There's nothing I can really do about it except practice. I don't want to, like, keep doing takes because, like, I kind of want to get out of this thing and I want to, right after this, I'm going to start Donkey Kong Bonanza. So, like, I'm excited to do that. Let's get rolling here. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is, like, this script was 2,500 words. My Marty Supreme script was 2,500 words. My Avatar 3 script was 2,000 words. My scripts are getting longer and they're averaging around that like 2,000, 2,500 mark. And I just like, I find that to be strange that like 3 reviews in a row kind of got to that mark, because it's like, I had different things to say about each of them, but they all ended up at like the amount, like the same amount. And that's just so weird. Like, am I unintentionally like hitting this length goal? I don't think so, because it's like, I do want the script to be long enough for a YouTube video, but like, I'm never extending my thoughts. I'm never like trying to say more things just to make this video longer. I'm just saying every single thing I thought about the thing I played and writing it down and incorporating it, you know? So it's like, it's so strange to me that that's happening, you know? Like, I'm not doing it on purpose to like, I don't want this to be fucking 20 minutes. So I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, whatever. All right, the last thing is like, on TikTok, last I checked, I had, I think 830 or maybe it was 840 followers and like over 2,500 likes. That is surpassing my goal of what I wanted to do with TikTok in just 53 days since getting my fursuit. That's really good. So my goal was I wanted to beat the combined amount of followers of like my mom, sister, both her accounts, like my dad, and their likes. So the combined amount of those with less videos. And I did that. And it's like, I didn't think that would happen, especially so soon. TikTok is really going well for me, I would say. But I've said this a million times, like, I like doing YouTube more. Like, it takes longer to record, obviously, and do all that. But it's more stimulating for me to do it. So, I don't know, it's just weird to have that happen. Like, at this rate, I'll be at 1,000 followers in like 2 or 3 days, which would be crazy. Um, but yeah, like, I don't know, like, I like this script. Like I said, I messed up in the voiceover tons of times, but hopefully it doesn't impact the video, but whatever. I like this DLC. That's all I have to say for you for today, you guys. I appreciate you for watching, if anyone does, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Bye!